Welcome to Nerd Sports. Today we're going to talk about D&D ish.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. Fine. Yeah.
Well, basically, the reason why I say that is only because of the whole fantasy football week. Because the actual season starts up next. Does it start next week?
Fantasy football. Yeah, you're gonna get all your drafts and stuff like that going this weekend, and then kickoff is next weekend. Yeah.
Because I know.
Actually, wait. No, draft parties should be happening either over this past weekend, because with the exception of, let's just say, a few key personnel, because I know that the Patriots cut 2 more people today, so they're getting down to that final number on their rosters. But draft parties should be hitting hard and heavy this week. Yeah, I looked for a lot of like Wednesday draft parties. But you said D&D, and I'm like, okay. So remember was it week before last when we were talking about Lisa Ann being like a fantasy football nerd, and I said that fantasy sports in general is D&D for the guys who made fun of the guys who played D&D in high school.
Yeah, that's one thing that I kept on doing when I was working corrections, is when they were doing the fantasy football and everything like that.
Yeah.
It was like they were like picking their team. It was like they asked me one time. I was like, "Hey, how's this? Do you know if this guy is really good?" They just blank out because they don't know. Everybody at that farm knows football and talks football, and I talk a little bit of football only because I have something to talk about.
Yeah.
And I listen and I peek up, and I was like, "Oh yeah. It's your fantasy football stuff, right?" He's like, "Yeah." I would give him a plus 5 elven boots of swiftness,
Right.
And I would give this guy. He's like,
you had them for a second, and then they're like, "Oh, motherfucker."
It is hilarious and funny each and every time they try to pull that stuff with me.
Yeah,
but
okay, so.
Well, I got the list. We'll do half and half on this.
Yeah, just something real quick I want to touch on, football related. We're not going to go into baseball yet. Went to the Dallas Cowboys Jacksonville Jaguar preseason game yesterday at AT&T Stadium down in Dallas, or Arlington rather. And it was the first game that I'd been to, or first event rather, period, that I'd been to at AT&T Stadium. And you said that it was an impressive, facility, but just being able for myself to get eyes on, you got the field laid out, and just the place is just packed full of people. And I tell you what, man, that was a sight to behold. And I have been on this, not necessarily an anti-Cowboys bandwagon, but just, more of the I don't care about the Cowboys kind of a thing.
Yeah. You're with me on that. It's basically the whole factor of, you see it, and you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, well, because for me, like going into a brand new, baseball park, right, that I hadn't been to before, there's kind of a reverence there, even if it's going to be Yankee fucking Stadium. It's just the whole walking into a new ballpark or walking into a venue that you've never been to before, and just having that all open up in front of you. It's got kind of a reverence to it, and it's a really cool feeling. But just the artwork on the walls, just the way that the place is laid out, for the most part, it's really impressive. And that jumbo screen hanging from the ceiling, though, that's cool. I mean, I don't care who you are.
Even at the front, having that big
screen
up front.
Yeah, even out front on either side, but it was it was a pretty cool experience. I took my girlfriend and her sister. They had never been to AT&T Stadium. Mindy had never been to a Cowboys game, so this was like a bucket list item for her. And I tell you what, man, it was a cool experience because just watching their faces, just the pure elation. I mean, they were giddy, like beside themselves, right? Because I had been able to see the Cowboys play at the old Texas Stadium, And I mean that was still pretty cool, to be able to be in that facility, knowing what kind of history is taking place there. But AT&T Stadium that's a really nice place.
Yeah.
And I was saying earlier, that I've been on this whole I don't care about the Cowboys thing. And so my girlfriend, she bought me a jersey, because I did have my Tebow jersey on when we got there, but I was like, oh, no, man. We were trying to get the grill started and everything like that out where we parked. And this truck full of dudes. Now, when I say it's a truck, it's not somebody went out and pimped out a truck and, this is their little pavement princess. No. This is some ghetto-ass dudes went out to U-Haul and rented a pickup truck, and there's like 6 or 7 guys riding in the bed of the truck talking smack to anybody not wearing a Cowboys jersey or T-shirt, right? And I'm just like, normally I'm not a one that likes to shy away from a fight. I'll be diplomatic at first, but, if it needs to, comes down to it, I might get my ass handed to me, but they're going to know that they were in a fight. I did not feel like getting stabbed or shot wearing Tim Tebow's jersey, And so I was just like, you know what? It's okay. I had an Under Armour T-shirt underneath it, so I took that off, left it in the truck. And she bought me this Leighton Van Esch jersey. He's a linebacker for the Cowboys. And, I like it. I like the jersey. And I'm sitting there, and I'm like, okay, I'm just here as a spectator. I'm just trying to enjoy a game of football, And I caught myself at a couple of points during the day yesterday, whenever the Cowboys did do something good, rooting for them. I'm just like, yeah, I got excited about it, and I'm just like, oh crap, I'm starting. The Kool-Aid is there, and I took a sip, and I'm just
it really isn't that. It's more or less the whole basic fact of seeing someone do a good job, even though they failed most of the time.
Yeah, well,
I mean, it really is, and this is the baseline of it. It's cheering on the Special Olympics guy. I mean,
dear Lord, yeah.
It's basically that. You're like, oh, good boy.
No,
Yay!
Okay. Now, to be fair, okay, with where my relationship is with my girlfriend and where I'm wanting it to go, I plan on being with her for an indefinite, amount of time, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm seeing this as, okay, it's only fair. Okay, so, I'm still going to be a Tom Brady guy. I'm still going to own Tom Brady jerseys. I'm still going to wear his jerseys. I'm still going to root for the guy, regardless as to where he plays, and unless he goes to New York, which that'll never happen. But I've resigned myself to the fact that, okay, I'm going to start rooting for the Cowboys a little bit. I'm never going to be one of those people that go, them boys, and I'm not going to be your stereotypical Cowboys fan.
You're not going to drink fully into the Kool-Aid, but you're going to taste it a little bit once in a while.
The Kool-Aid will be drank, albeit it will be a little watered down, but still, yeah. I mean, you get where I'm going with it. I mean, because I looked at it like, okay, it's only fair because she's an Astros fan, right? And you know me, and our like 6 listeners know that I'm an unabashed Red Sox fan, right? She wears a Red Sox T-shirt. She's gonna wear my jerseys from time to time, and whenever the Red Sox are playing, she's gonna root for them, unless they're playing the Astros, obviously. But then that's just gonna be a house divided kind of a deal. So I'm like, okay, this is just a this is a compromise, a happy compromise, and it's one that I'm okay with. Considering the fact that I had given up on football a few years ago, because I'm just like, okay, fine, whatever. But yeah, overall, I mean, it was dude, just the whole day, it was a blast. I mean, it really was. I mean, even though the Cowboys lost 34-14.
It was close. You gotta say it was close.
No, it was not even close. No, not even close. but I mean, I got to see Trevor Lawrence, the number 1 overall draft pick from last year. I got to see him play, and he was making some pretty good throws. And I found myself getting irritated with this guy that was sitting behind us, right? Because he was one of these. I'm gonna pre-blow a little bit pre-game before I come into the game, and
I don't know what you mean.
okay, so he was partaking in the sauce just a little bit out in the parking lot before he came into the stadium.
Oh, nobody does that.
And his wife is a Cowboys fan. She was wearing a Cowboys jersey. This dude was not. He was a Jacksonville fan, right?
Okay.
They had their kids. They did not sit together. They sat on opposite ends of their kids. This guy was getting loud. He was getting obnoxious. He was pissing everybody off, to include his wife. She looked at him when Jacksonville kicked a field goal, right?
Divorce papers are on Monday?
Oh, no. He was like, it's good. It's good. It's good. I mean, I'm just sitting there. I'm like, I'm chewing nails because I'm trying very hard not to be that guy that turns around and just tells him to shut the fuck up in front of his kids. And his wife looks at him and goes, shut up. And he was like, no. And she just looks at him. She goes, shut up. And she got pissed, right? And, there was a lady that was sitting the row right in front of us, down towards the end of her row, and she was like, I mean, the guy got up to go leave, like at halftime or whatever. They got up to go leave and go outside or whatever, go get food and snacks or whatever for the kids. And we're sitting there talking to her, and she's like, it's all I can do to just jump over there and beat his ass, but it's just the fact that y'all are just so nice. I'm not going to do that to y'all. And then she looks at me and she goes, I have a feeling that you'd be the kind of guy that would help me, like help hoist me over so I could get to him. And I was like, yes, ma'am. Right here, I was like, I'll give you a lift. I probably would have thrown my back out doing it, but it's there. But it just just the whole day was just kind of a cool experience, and we're already looking forward to the next time that we get to go see a game there. But it's it was kind of cool because after we left, right, and we're walking around, because how you can't walk all the way around on the inside because they got those club suites that break everything up on the second level.
Oh, we didn't have that when we were there.
Oh yeah, no. On game days, you cannot walk through the stadium club because so you got to go all the way to the top and then come back down to get to the other side, right? And we were like, yeah, no, that's not happening. When we leave at the end of the game, we're just going to walk all the way around the outside. Well, we did that. We accidentally came upon the player exit, right? The player entrance where they come in and out. And I was like, oh, cool. So there's the players. I was like, run, go. And because Mindy and her sister both were wearing Dak Prescott jerseys. And so as soon as they got up there, Dak Prescott walks out, and he's like saying hi to the fans and everything like that. So they got video footage of him walking out of the locker room and stuff, and that was pretty cool for them. It was just the day was more for them than it was for me, but it's just the fact that it had been years since I'd been to an NFL game.
Yeah,
it was an enjoyable experience.
It's a different kind of energy.
It is. It's a different kind of energy, and just seeing some of the personalities in the of the fan base. Like there was a group of guys. One guy had this huge ass sombrero. One guy was wearing shoulder pads. Another guy was, there was a couple of them painted up. One dude was dressed up like a caballero, which is the Spanish cowboy, right?
Yeah.
Blue and silver, tassels on his shirt.
It before.
Yeah, just it was kind of cool though, and I'm like, man, that is wild. So
it's like going to a con.
It is. You get the people like me that wear jerseys, and you're like, we're half-ass cosplaying, but you get people that show up in full-on ass uniforms. Like there was one guy I saw him. He was on the third. No, he wasn't on the third level. He was on the second level or first level right there, because you got the field level suites that they built in there, those are kind of cool. But I would think that would be kind of a pain in the ass because you can't see everything on the field because you're having to look through the players. But and then you got the first level and you got the second level where we sat there on the northern end zone, And this guy, shit you not, this dude had, I mean, he was in full uniform. He had a jersey, shoulder pads underneath it. I mean, he had the pants with the pads. I mean, the dude had the helmet.
He's hoping he could play.
Right, he's like praying for somebody to snap an ankle or something like that, and the coach just happens to turn around and in a moment of exasperation says, "Give me that fucker up there in the stands." Like, sorry, man, Mike Holmgren is not going to pull that shit with you. Not happening. Jerry's not going to have it. The Players Association, the Players Union, they're not going to have it. No, that's just no. Just a whole lot of no. But anyway, so yeah, getting back to fantasy football, I mean,
one thing before we get into this, I just found it a couple of seconds ago. Well, I found it beforehand. I forgot to click on it. Talking about gambling and everything that but the coach of the retired coach of the Colts, Tony Dungy. Yeah. He stated after Adam Schefter. Sign of the times, NFL. This is what Adam Schefter says. Sign of the NFL has reached an agreement with Fox Bet, Bet MGM, Points Bet, Wayne Bet to become approved sportsbook operators for the season of 2021 NFL season. And Tony Dungy said, "I really don't like seeing this, Adam. When I came into the league, the NFL had a stance against gambling. Now it seems like we've accepted it. I realize it's legal now, but we've all seen the damage gambling can do to lives. I don't think we should be promoting this."
Now, if baseball ever takes that stance, the first thing the commissioner needs to do is reinstate Pete Rose. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Because, I mean, that would just be like an incredible double standard. Like, okay, yeah, we're going to approve gambling, but you who bet on the game, you're still banned. Like, seriously, come on, man. That's not a good look. But, yeah, it is a sign of the times. I mean, because if you even, like if you download the Buffalo Wild Wings app,
well, you
can bet through that app.
Well, you also have, like, big wigs like Barstool, Drinking Bros. I mean, Drinking Bros in 3 days' time is doing their fantasy football league stuff. And they have their sponsorship through, DraftKings.
Yeah.
I think it's DraftKings.
Yeah, and DraftKings themselves, I mean, just even with like your daily play where, you don't have to put anything up front. You get a cap or whatever, and then like I guess you can win up to $150 a day or something like that.
Oh, you can win more than that.
Yeah, I mean, to win more than that, you got to put into it.
I mean, when they'll double your bet.
Yeah.
For like up to 1,000.
Yeah,
and then use a lot of the promotion codes.
Yeah, and then like your weekly winners get to qualify for the year-end game
a lot of those,
where you can win $1 million or something like
that.
Yeah,
and that's like starting out. It's like when I did a fantasy football draft one time, just to see if I could do it, and the first week, if you won it in that draft, you would have gotten like $1 million.
Yeah. Before we close out on football news here, yeah, I mean,
we're not done with football stuff.
No, yeah, you're right. I'll get to my little surprise. So there's a teaser. There's a surprise at the end of our football segment.
Okay. Well, the first one on this list is Kyle Pitts for fantasy football, a tight end for the Falcons. The con side rookie tight ends are almost always lousy bets. Pitt's draft price is in an area where it needs to be right away. Pitts won't spectacular 2 years. Wasn't spectacular in 2 years. The pro side, Pitts will get plenty of work as a jumbo receiver. He's not standard tight end. He's not just a tight end prospect. He's the tight end prospect. The fourth overall pick in the draft, complete with absurd measurements. The Falcons only have one target clearly above Pitts, and that's picker order Calvin Ridley.
Mm-hmm.
But and just reading that and everything, it. Oh, okay. I'll see that one later. But I can put it up now. But just realizing that of how people judge the players when they're doing this fantasy football. You have your people that are like old school. It's like, oh, he has this, he has this, he has this. He has a good lifestyle. He loves doing this. He's calm on the field and everything. And there's people out there that just look at the numbers.
Yeah.
And just like fantasy baseball, a lot of people look at the numbers, and a lot of people do the old school of looking of the player's home life and everything.
Yeah.
But the next one is Barkley.
Yeah, Squan Barkley. Yeah, I mean, he's running back for the Giants. The Giants, their offensive line problems for this year are projected to be dismal. Don't expect them to have a really great year on the ground or even in the air, because if their quarterback spends too much time scrambling, he's going to end up on his back more times than he is going to be, moving the ball downfield. Mm-hmm. But Jason Garrett is still the offensive coordinator for the New York Giants. Now, for those of you who are Dallas Cowboys fans, remember that the redheaded Jesus is a walking disaster. The guy is not a great offensive coordinator. I mean, he's got this handful of plays that he likes to pull from, and his systems are easy to read. That's just it. Defenses like to pick them apart, which is why the Dallas Cowboys, whenever he was the head coach for them, it personified mediocrity. I mean, they give you all this hope, and you get all these great personnel that put on the star, and then all of a sudden, here comes the season, and they finish 8-8. And that's like it turned into one of those vicious cycles, like domestic abuse. I'm not making fun of domestic abuse situations at all, so don't at me. But I'm just like, okay, so somebody gets hit, and then the person that gets hit says, well, he or she's going to get better, and then there's like a lull in the storm, and then it turns all over again, and it's just a little crazy cycle.
Well,
but on the pro side, I mean, depending on what kind of vision, because running backs are always, that when people talk about running backs, they always talk about their field vision, right? So I mean, they can see a lane, or they can see a crease that they can, or they've got great explosive power to the outside. They're talking about Barkley is he might be able to overcome having a poor offensive line that's not able to block or create running lanes for him, but he's one of these, you're not really sure how he is health wise, but I mean, in his rookie year, I mean, the dude put up great fantasy numbers his rookie year, so I mean, I do remember that, but. And, it just, they're like, oh, he's got a cool name. Yeah, well, that doesn't help at all. That doesn't mean anything at all. But, yeah, there's not a lot of people that are going to draft him. And if they do, it's going to be one of those, okay, he's going to be a backup. And then just don't expect to have a great points day as far as, like, stats are concerned. But anyway.
He's not getting that parade.
No.
And we got Kareem Hunt.
Kareem Hunt.
Kareem Hunt.
Yeah, for the Browns.
Running back for the Browns will take a big share of the workload. Isn't used much in the passing game. Last year, touchdowns rated is unsuitable.
Yeah, last year's touchdown rate was unsustainable. So they're talking about Cleveland expecting to contend for a playoff spot, and but
you really don't hear that much from the Browns, though.
Well, the Browns have gotten a little scary over the last couple of years behind Baker Mayfield, and because he was drafted out of Oklahoma as a quarterback, and so he came in, and he was under center as quarterback whenever the Browns snapped their 2.5 season long losing streak. And I mean, because it was funny because Bud Light came out and they were like, free beer for Cleveland when the Browns win a game, and then they finally won a game, and so Bud Light had to make good on that promise. That was a really expensive day.
I bet it was.
But well, they probably just took Milwaukee's best, recanned it, and said, "Here you go." But but I mean, if you're rooting for Cleveland at that point, you're not really expecting caviar and Dom Perignon. But
no, not at all.
And if you're a Browns fan, you know what? Come at me. I don't care. Go ahead and shoot your shot, but just make sure that make sure you got somebody blocking for you. But anyway, so
next one is Michael Thomas.
Yeah, wide receiver for the Saints. The Saints, they're going to be a little, because Hurricane Ida just went through New Orleans.
Yes,
the entire city's out of power right now. They're in Dallas this week practicing. They canceled their last preseason game. So, and I think that the NFL is scrambling because I think they're going to have to reschedule depending on the accessibility of the stadium and the infrastructure. And I'm talking about power and getting people back into the into the city so that way they can open stuff up.
Yeah, Louisiana right now is having a very, very, very hard time. It's
yeah, because Ida's still dumping. As of this morning, it was still dumping like 9 inches of rain an hour.
Yeah, I was surprised we didn't get any rain.
Well, they originally projected the track of that to hit the Texas Gulf Coast, which would have affected my girlfriend, because she lives down there in Lake Jackson. So, but it moved further east and skirted New Orleans, went up into Louisiana, and it kind of split the difference between New Orleans and Freeport, Mississippi.
Mm-hmm.
So or Gulfport. Anyway, so it went up into Mississippi as well as Louisiana. So, and then it's tracking up into Nashville towards up into Tennessee towards Nashville. So, and my daughter, she lives just east of Nashville. So I'm gonna call and check on her tonight. But so there's going to be some questions there. It may or may not affect the Tennessee Titans as well. So, if thoughts and prayers are your thing, go ahead and, lift those prayers up for the people that are in the path of that storm. And it's not just about the sports being affected. It's about people's personal lives at this point. But we're already coordinating. There's people, I say we, like Angry Me Production has any kind of pull like that. But there's already coordinated efforts down in the Houston area to get supplies and trucks, semi-trailers loaded to send into the New Orleans area for people to get those supplies until they get the power turned back on. So they're talking about coolers, diapers, wipes, non-perishable food items, canned goods, coolers, ice. I mean, just all kinds of stuff, water, just so that way people can, try to establish some kind of degree of normalcy there. But we're talking about we're still getting back to Michael Thomas. He's already hurt. So I mean, he got hurt early on during the preseason, and as of this, the article that you sent me on YahooSports.com, they're still saying that the Saints had an uncertainty at the quarterback spot, but they've, as of, I think it was yesterday or the day before, I think it was yesterday, early yesterday morning, the Saints named Jameis Winston as their starting quarterback for Week 1. Jameis Winston, he was the quarterback. He played quarterback for Florida State when he was in college. And the guy had a pretty decent arm. He's more of one of these mobile quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that's going to give them...
What does that mean, mobile quarterback?
He can scramble out of the pocket, and he can run downfield.
Okay.
So, I mean, he's pretty agile. He's not like a pre-dogfight Michael Vick or anything like that. But, or if people remember Randall Cunningham, I mean, he's nothing like that at all. But he still brings a degree of mobility to the game, to the offensive game that New Orleans didn't have under Drew Brees. Now, Drew Brees could scramble. He could run for 5, maybe 6 yards at a time, but they didn't have that explosive open field, running speed that Jameis Winston's going to, bring a degree of. I'm not saying he's going to bring the whole package. I mean, he's going to bring a percentage of that to their game. And that might, what that's going to do, potentially, for me, what I would see is that with Michael Thomas being a weapon for a mobile quarterback like Jameis Winston, that potentially the threat that the quarterback could run is going to cause some concern for those opposing defenses, and that might open up some drop coverages, or that might open up what they'll play. It's called a zone defense, where they're not hanging on the hip of that receiver. They're kind of playing off and giving him a little bit of a cushion. They establish the zones that the different offensive players, like the safety, the free safety, and the 2 cornerbacks, they'll kind of have assigned sectors that they'll play in the backfield, downfield, and then, so that might open up more zone defense, which will enable Michael Thomas to get a little bit of separation between him and his defender. Because in 2019, the guy was pretty solid as far as fantasy points were concerned, fantasy football. So they're looking at him as being more of a second half of the season kind of a player. Not really something that's worth picking up at the beginning of the season, just simply due to the fact that he's hurt. And once even if he does get better, he's still going to have to come in. He's still going to have to get those reps during the week. He's going to have to get, snaps in game time to get the rust off.
Yeah, it's pretty much the whole thing of keeping up with the practice, keeping up with the rehab, and physical rehab, not like, nose candy rehab.
Right, yeah.
But a lot of doing anything to get back to your placement, and this is losing a limb or hurting yourself or anything like that. As long as you keep up with your rehabilitation and keep on working that stuff at a small pace and then going up, you'd be perfectly fine.
Right, yeah. Next on the list, Tyler Higby. He plays tight end for the Rams. They were talking that in 2019, dude he had a great start to the season, and he just dropped off the map. Like, he just stopped producing. Whether he wasn't being targeted for throws, or he was just dropping shit, or they just went a different direction with their offensive plan that didn't include, short throws across the middle or short out patterns to the tight end. But they're looking at him as being just kind of an ordinary guy with no real chance to compete with like Robert Woods or Cooper Kupp, who are just ball magnets for the Rams. But he's got
the last player that I remember actually just going in for was Fitzgerald from Kansas City, I think it was.
Fitzgerald? You mean?
It was a red jersey.
Cardinals.
Yeah.
Yeah, Fitzgerald, the dude, that guy, in and out of uniform, on and off the field, Fitzgerald is a stand-up human being, and the guy's got his head screwed on straight. That
and he could catch a ball. I've seen him almost finger the ball into his hand.
Yeah.
I miss players like that just had so much talent and just went for it and practiced those stuff.
Well, because Fitzgerald had that he still has it. Is this huge wingspan? From fingertip to fingertip, he gave his quarterbacks an opportunity to make completions. And that's one of the things that they look for whenever they're either looking to sign a free agent or they're looking to draft a wide receiver. That's one of the key things that they look at is what kind of a wingspan does this guy have? What's his vertical look like? What's his mobility? How agile is he? And it's definitely speed, but And one of the more notable names on this list from this article is the Aaron Rodgers. Now, you remember he had that whole, kind of that tumultuous up and down off season, and with that pissing contest that he had with the general manager and the organization from Green Bay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the one that I was kind of. We were even talking today, going up to the job, about Aaron Rodgers, and it's the whole thing of you didn't hear anything for the longest time, and now you hear something from him, and people are more or less getting to the point where they're getting so upset at him for just bringing the shit up. I was like, it's like that quiet kid that finally says something smart aleck, and everybody's going, "Why'd you even talk?"
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this guy, he says that while aging pocket passers like Rodgers and Tom Brady are not proactive picks for him because of their lack of rushing ability, I mean, just on completions and touchdowns alone, come on.
No, what it is, a lot of people are saying, it's like, oh, you got to rush the ball. I was like, no, they just started rushing the ball.
Yeah.
Like, probably about...
And I'll blame the college systems, but a rushing quarterback, it's kind of still, I mean, to me, it's still a niche thing. It's
still boring to me.
It is.
Once they started rushing really hardcore, I just can't.
Because when you got a quarterback that rushes and they just take off with the ball, I mean, yeah, that adds a dimension and a headache and another wrinkle to the defensive planner, or to the defensive coordinating planner.
Who was the Pittsburgh quarterback back in the day? God, it started with the R. Right?
Ben Roethlisberger, he's still their quarterback.
Oh, he's still the
He is
quarterback?
an aging, fat, old frat boy.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean,
in my opinion, that's where everybody, once he won the Super Bowl, because he usually just rushes.
Well,
he always just rushes. There's no in between on that.
To be fair, Roethlisberger, I mean, he's part of that old guard of pocket passers. I mean, you got Tom Brady, who he can scramble, and every once in a while he'll surprise the hell out of people by taking off on a run. But that's only when the coverage is so airtight on his receivers that he goes through his check down list and everybody's covered. And so if he's got room, he's going to take off and try to get at least 3, 4, 5 yards out of it. But with Aaron Rodgers likes to stick his head into a pile. But he's getting older. I'm not saying that the guy's losing his touch or anything like that. Don't catch me sideways doing that. But I mean, Tom Brady's working with more collective talent around him in Tampa Bay than Aaron Rodgers is in Green Bay. And that was one of Aaron Rodgers' biggest gripes, was that the team is not drafting properly. They're not going after these free agents to give him weapons to throw to. And I think it ultimately is going to be a detriment for Aaron Rodgers. He'll get creative. The guy's an absolute architect at trying to put drives together. And he'll figure out a way to make something out of nothing. But with him having to do that as often as he does in Green Bay,
it's going to be tough.
It's an uphill. It's going to be an uphill battle for him. But If I were to have to choose, and this is not me being a Tom Brady guy, okay? If I had to choose between Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady to draft as my starting quarterback, I'm going to go with Tom Brady all day. Just because of the fact that he's got more weapons to throw to, he's a more accurate of a passer, and he's not having to pull stuff out of his ass because his receiver core lacks the ability to get separation. And that would include his running backs and his tight ends. Because, I mean, if like on an option play or a bootleg, You know, he's going to scramble out to one side or the other. You know, or if it's a screenplay where the running back's going to come up and he's going to kind of stagger himself off a little bit, and you know, and he's going to be that dump off option. You know, he's going to roll out, and there's that running back sitting right there. There's no guarantee that running back's going to catch those balls, especially if Aaron Rodgers is running for his life. Now, Green Bay's got a respectable offensive line, but Aaron Rodgers, he got hit a ton last year.
Yeah.
Now, granted, yes, they still made it to the NFC Championship game, where they ultimately lost to Tom Brady and the Buccaneers. But the offensive line, and they lost two facets of that game. They lost the offensive, and they lost the defensive side of that game. Tom Brady just slowly started picking that defense apart. He started picking that secondary apart. Tampa Bay's defense, they came to play. I mean, they were no shit. Hey, we are one step away from being the first team to host a Super Bowl in our home stadium. We're going to get this deal done. And they were not having it. I mean, they went into Green Bay and they shut them down. So, there's that. But then we're talking about the Bengals as a whole for an organization.
Yeah, they went off on just saying the con side is their head coach Zach Taylor.
Yeah, the dude doesn't know how to run an offense. He cannot manage his personnel. The offensive line last year, an absolute nightmare. Joe Burrows, their quarterback, he was the national championship quarterback, drafted out of LSU, right? He took an absolute beating last year, and it ended up getting like a torn ACL out of it. I mean, like a huge knee injury last year. So, it's the reports coming out of Cincinnati's training camp have been hit and miss. I mean, they're like, okay, well, this is going to be productive. Okay, now we've got this now we've got this drawback. Okay, so we're improving here, but we're still not where we need to be over here. So it's Joe Burrows is coming off of that knee injury, and it's been said that he is potentially going to be a wash. He's going to wash out of the NFL. And I don't want to see that happen, because I believe that Joe Burrows could have a very long and productive career in the NFL. But as long as he is there in Cincinnati, or as long as Zach Taylor is the head coach of Cincinnati, they're not going to get it done. I mean, we're talking about whenever they have the Battle of Ohio there between the Browns and the Bengals. I mean, the Browns are going to. The Browns are just going to run away with that series. I mean, they're going to stack up wins in the win column.
I mean, they were
for years.
I mean, the only thing is like last year, the Bengals were fourth in the AFC.
Well, they're an NFC team, I think.
No,
they're AFC.
I'm looking at the thing right now.
Okay.
Go you. AFC North.
AFC North. Okay. All right. Well, see, I misspoke. All right. So, fucking whatever.
But they were a contender last year. But I think that's more of the.
They were playing above their level. They really were. I mean, they absolutely were playing
even
above their skill set last year.
That, I'm gonna look just to see, because a lot of the stuff people are putting out right now is 2019 stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because last year we had all the. Oh wow. They did not change. We are still fourth in the AFC North.
Well, saying somebody is fourth in their division is a nice way of saying that they finished absolutely dead last. Because there's only 4 teams per division. So.
Is it really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
No, then they suck.
Yeah. I mean, you're looking at it, you're like, oh, they finished fourth in their division.
Well, I'm so used to seeing the baseball stuff and everything like that.
Well, even in baseball, there's 5 teams per division there. So saying that somebody finished fourth in their division in baseball is not as bad. You know, whereas you've got 16 weeks of regular season games in the NFL. So I mean, the victories matter more in football because you're not playing 162 games of football. You're only playing 16. So, you know, there's a higher premium on winning, especially within your division. So, because if you win within your division and you still end up with the same win-loss record as like somebody else in your division, but you've beaten them twice on the head-to-head, you're going to get the tiebreaker. So,
okay.
But
so basically, what you're telling me is, if I came up with a Bengals shirt, I would just show that how much of a loser I actually am. It's like wearing a Cowboy jersey.
No.
You didn't get that last part, did you?
I did. You know, so okay, if you showed up in a Bengals jersey, no, I'd let you have that one. You know, I really would, and here's why: because the sports is full of fan bases that are just notoriously guilty of being lovable losers. All right, now I'm not saying that you are a loser because you're going to be, oh, well, that's what I just said. No, that's not what you just said. What I'm saying is,
I take the level of loser. You know.
Okay, for example, the last time, like if a Cowboys fan, die hard, silver and blue, we them boys, Cowboys fan wanted to go back and watch highlights of their last Super Bowl victory, they're going to have to dig a VCR out. That's just not on DVD. It's not on Blu-ray. It's on VHS. Okay? You've got this fan base of Cowboys fans. They go into every year thinking, this is going to be it. This is going to be our year. And, you know, but they're still holding back that skepticism, that cynical, you know, kind of haphazardly, you know, I'm not going to buy all in because I know you're just going to stomp on my dick and you're going to break my heart kind of a thing. It's kind of like Red Sox fans were for years until 2004, right? And even this year, we play first place baseball for, you know, more than half the season, and then all of a sudden, now we find ourselves in fourth fucking place, you know, in our division because our pitching forgot how to show up for work. But you know, but with the Bengals, I don't know, man.
It's just one of those things that you just gotta. There's a lot
if I were to draft Joe Burrows for my fantasy team, he would be a backup. He really would. I mean, unless they're going to go play somebody like the Jets, you know. I mean,
yeah, Jets are pretty bad too.
The Jets are horrendous, but. You know,
there is a lot of NFL teams that you can just put into the. Oh my God, I can't believe they won this one.
Is the Colts are going to be part of that group this year?
Well, you got the Las Vegas Raiders. Of course, the Raiders in general.
Well, the Raiders being the Raiders. I mean, this is the first season that they're going to open up in Las Vegas. I mean, they're going to come out and they're going to play with a little bit of a fire because I mean it's a new house. They're wanting to establish that first win. I don't know, but having said that about the Raiders, that's a great segue, so thank you. I'm going to jump into my little surprise here, and then if you want, we can jump back into football news.
No, we're good with football news.
Okay, so I have managed to convince. Well, let me back up here. I'm trying to build this up properly. Okay, so we know that a few weeks ago, Tom Flores, who used to coach for the Raiders and the Seahawks, was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame this year. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, my wonderful girlfriend actually knows the wife and the husband and wife. She used to babysit for them, right? Van McElroy, who used to play for the Raiders under Coach Flores. She knows them. So she sent over the weekend, sent his wife a message, and asked for her to ask him if he would be willing to come onto our podcast to talk about Coach Flores, and he agreed. So look for that to come up in the next few weeks. We're going to do our homework on this because, unlike our gubernatorial candidate, episode that was our first foray into professionalism.
No, because I still think the Operation Enduring Warrior went a hell of a lot better than
it did. Okay, so this is our first foray. This is the first time that we'll have had a professional athlete on the show.
Yeah.
Okay.
On this show.
I
still get praise with Steve Baggs, the guy that's a farmer I used to work with.
Yeah.
I still get praise from people going, "Oh man, that farmer guy was really interesting." I was like, "Thank you."
Yeah. So. I'm going to do my homework on Coach Flores. I'm going to do my homework on Van. I'm going to do my homework on Van McElroy as well.
You're not going to be able to do Wikipedia. That's for damn sure.
No.
There's nothing on there.
But so I'm going to do my homework on his career. I'm going to, and if it's okay with you, I'm going to take point on that interview. And it's not you. It's just, because I'm going to be the point of contact for him anyway, so I'm just going to kind of run with it, if that's okay.
That's fine.
Okay, great.
I'll ask a couple of questions like I usually do.
And that's fine. But yeah, look for that. I'm excited about that because...
Oh, I'm excited for us, too. I mean, it really is... it's not our, first legitimate celebrity.
No, not first legitimate celebrity, but it's one. It's
it's one that's actually really popular.
It's through a very personal resource of mine, and it's not just us on the line here. I mean, it's the reputation and the word of my girlfriend. So
yeah,
and so it's, to me, that's something that we need to be very reverent and very protective of. So kind of look for that, because it's coming up. We're going to try to get that episode in probably within the next month. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm absolutely over the moon excited about it. It's going to be great. As long as I don't do what I did with Matt Best and start fangirling a little bit,
I'll hold your hand if you need to.
No.
I was like, "Are you guys?" It's like, no.
For that particular episode, just ditch the sunglasses so that way I can see you glaring at me if you feel like I'm getting off track. But but past that to me that was huge. So we're gonna give huge props to my girlfriend on that one. So she facilitated this for us, and so we're gonna protect this one. But it's something that I'm excited about, not only for myself personally, but for us as a show. So it's gonna be cool to be able to talk to somebody who played during that that era of.
It really was
football.
it was really like the last bastion of hardcore sports.
It was. Because you look at those guys. They had they had those gnarly ass face masks, and the jerseys weren't these high performance jerseys like they got nowadays. It's a bit. And they're out there. Oh, you broke a finger? Okay, well, we're gonna tape that up next to your middle finger, and you can just go back out there. And
there was a lot of those.
But. We're he grew up in Uvalde, Texas. He graduated from Uvalde High School, and that's down there in the South Texas area, just south of Houston. So it's gonna be kind of cool, and You know, he was part of that Raiders team that, you know, the last Raiders team to go on and win the Super Bowl. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, just, you know, y'all be on the lookout for that. We're gonna tout that pretty hard. We're gonna plug that episode pretty hard, leading up to the actual shooting of it. So just be ready for that, because I mean that's pretty exciting. I mean that's you could almost say that's kind of like big league for us a little bit. So, you know, you kind of want to approach that at bat with more of a, you know, of a defensive posture, because we are batting above our head, you know, a batting average right there with this one.
I'm at
Well,
the point
to use
where,
a football euphemism, we're out punting our coverage a little bit with this interview. So, you know, we kind of want to protect it. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
Well, my thing is I've never really been the type of person, because I have to deal with this stuff all the time, just talking with people and everything like that, and let it be a celebrity or someone that's done something like really high in there, with their lives. I learned if you just talk to them. I've talked to Robert Rodriguez before.
Yeah.
I happened to be at the bar, and I was like, "Hey, aren't you Robert Rodriguez?" Like, dude, I just want to drink and just hang out here.
Don't leave me the fuck alone.
Well, I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. I was just, how you been? If you just do it like an actual person, like I go to you and I was like, hey man, it just looks really sad. You look really sad today. How have you been? And that starts out the conversation. Sometimes you'll get it to where, stop talking to me, or you'll get, well, I've been doing all right. I mean, I have this going on, and this is getting frustrated. I was like, well, how is that getting frustrated? And you just keep up with conversation. And after a while, you just end up talking a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah.
I just learned that you just talk to people like they're people and not like a status. Something that you might want to learn before we do this interview.
I can handle myself. I was giving myself more of a hard time than anything else, so that way I could take the thunder away from you. But, you know, so you're welcome, dick. Anyway, so,
well, it was kind of funny. You're like, you'll never be able to do this. Oh my God, how are you able to do this? Oh.
No.
That's what
no.
fucking happened.
Well, yeah, okay. That is what happened. But
I was surprised. It's like you didn't do the whole thing. Hey, you want to see my room?
no. God.
Like a little kid. It was awesome.
It caught me off guard more than anything else. So I mean, I wasn't prepared for it, like mentally. But anyways, now that I'm done making excuses for myself.
Well, it's one
should that ever happen again, I'll be like, "What's up, man?" And that'll be, you know, it. That'll be my demeanor. That'll be the pentameter upon which I speak to him with. I mean, I get it, because everybody puts their pants on one leg at a time, mostly, unless they're just fucking weird or they're trying to scramble to get out of the bed because somebody's husband came home unexpectedly. Those people put their pants on two legs at a time before they jump out the window. Anyway,
yeah.
Digress. Not that I know from personal experience.
But we got okay. Going to the segue into baseball.
Yeah, baseball.
And make this quick.
Yeah, baseball. Okay, the season has got like roughly about maybe a month and a half left. Well, about 5 weeks left in the season. There's not a lot going on right now.
Yeah, there really wasn't. It's more or less NFL right now.
Yeah, I mean...
well, I could probably do that. Do my due diligence.
Well, okay, so... Shohei Ohtani, he was supposed to pitch versus the Yankees on Tuesday, but he's not going to make that scheduled start because he got hit on his right wrist by a pitch on Saturday.
Yeah.
And
that's
then
what I just pulled up right
now.
now.
And Mike Trout could be out for the rest of the year because he strained his left calf on the 17th of May. So, I mean, he has not been playing. And so they're looking at it like, now if you remember, Mike Trout he didn't play baseball at all last year, because last year during the COVID season, players were given the option to opt out, and he chose to do that because his wife just gave birth to their first child. Ohtani was hit. He was hit by a 93-mile-an-hour fastball by the Padres' Ryan Weathers last Saturday. And so, I mean, he stayed in the game. He stole a base. He became the first Angels player to have 40 homers and 20 stolen bases in a season. He underwent an X-ray, came back negative, but still feeling sore. They haven't even. I mean, so they're gonna move Jamie Barria up into his slot in the rotation for that Tuesday start. Joe Madden, the Angels manager, he's coming out saying like, well, he's fine. He's just sore. We're just kind of being precautious, and they're being cautious, not precautious.
Yeah.
We got to hang out with you too long. Your dyslexia is rubbing off on me. So, I'm sorry, but that was a dick thing to say. I'm sorry.
I'm all right with it. I mean, sometimes it rubs off.
Well, pitching is a very mechanically based, undertaking. So, if he's not feeling 100%, I wouldn't even worry about it, and I wouldn't even sweat it. Wouldn't even think about trying to start him, just simply due to the fact that, I mean, if his wrist is sore, he's going to try to figure out a way to pitch that's comfortable to him, and it's going to affect his delivery. And he'll either leave stuff out over the plate or he's going to walk the ballpark, and that's not what you want. So, with everybody kind of jumping on this Shohei Ohtani, bandwagon, talking about he's the greatest thing since sliced bread, just because he's the most successful two-way player in years, just kind of treat him with kid gloves, and once he's 100%, then you can stick him back out there. Send him down to AAA for a rehab start, make sure everything's all fine and dandy. Or if it's too late in the season, because I think the minor league season ends next month.
Yeah.
Just have him throw a bullpen session.
Yeah. Another big news is Padres' Chris Padrick officially reinstated Monday or today.
Yeah.
That just came around on the lines like 53 minutes ago. So.
Yeah, and then
was a 10-day injury list before Monday started against the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, and the Mets. Good God bless the Mets.
You looked at that too.
I saw it pop up on Twitter today, and I'm just sitting there going, man, that
Mets
is
gives
not...
fans the Bronx cheer.
Yeah, well, so I mean, you had a couple of players, to include Javi Baez and Francisco Lindor. Kevin Pillar. They were throwing thumbs down. They were booing the fans.
Yeah.
Because the fans are booing the team.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, and then here comes the Mets with this soft ass take. Please stop booing. Seriously, you play in Queens. Your fans have been through unadulterated hell since 1986. That was the last time your team was fucking relevant. Now, to be fair, there was I think it was either back in the 90s or the early 2000s when the World Series was dubbed the Subway Series because the Mets and the Yankees were playing in the World Series. But the team's just not relevant. I mean, they give their fans all these kinds of like lofty aspirations and these great hopes of grandeur all the way up to the All-Star break. And then once the trade deadline gets there, they make a couple of great moves, but the team still manages to figure out a way to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. And it's embarrassing. It really is. I mean, just the brand of baseball that the Mets put out there for the people who pay money to go to Citi Field and watch this team wallow. It's embarrassing. Now, I say that like I've got the skill set to get out there on that field and play at the same pace that these guys do, but they've dropped 12 and a half games during the first 27 days of August. I mean, we're going to That's like sitting on a tree limb and sawing the limb out from underneath you. Right? I mean, what do you expect to happen? Gravity, right? These guys, they just, to the fans' credits, they're still showing up for the games. And I think at this point, one the season ticket holders, and they don't want to lose the money on these tickets. But two, the Mets fans and Jets fans, they know that they're going to be in for a horrible season, but they show up anyway. God bless them. Really, God bless these people. Because that takes a special kind of dedication to sit through that, knowing that you're going to get your asses kicked, or your team is going to give you all this hope, but then that they're going to screw the pooch, either in the ninth inning or the fourth quarter, depending on what sport you're watching. But
I still go to the Special Olympics only because it's fun and I clap for everybody.
Yeah, but these guys aren't getting participation trophies, so it's.
They're not.
Now before they start coming at us about the whole, you make it bring Special Olympians, shut up. Go back.
I don't think anybody.
No, go back a couple of weeks and listen to our episode where we talked about how great Special Olympics and the Special Olympians are. So before you start coming at us with your hot take,
you have to
do your
back
homework.
On a lot of stuff.
Yeah, do your homework. Come on.
But the other weird thing was Francisco Lindor. Lindor. He just got a 10-year contract for $341 million.
Yeah.
And I'm like...
Is he worth it? Absolutely not.
Yeah, they're even saying he's like with his worst...
Bless the man and bless his agent for going out and convincing the Mets front office to fork over that kind of cash.
Someone did some weird sex stuff on this one.
It's like that scene in Aaron Brockovich where Julia Roberts goes, like, how did you get all these signatures? She goes, I performed over 1,000 sexual favors today. And then she looks at her boss and she goes, I'm very tired. Can I go lay down? But
yeah,
and then Baez is like, we're not machines. We're going to struggle. We're going to struggle 7 times out of 10. Look, don't try to rework the Ted Williams quote. We know that baseball is designed as a game of failure. But you are getting paid millions of dollars to go out there and compete for a division that you were, at least at one point this season, leading. So don't give me that we're going to struggle. We know that you're going to struggle, but you're a professional athlete. Make the adjustments. Watch film, get back in the batting cages, and go to the fucking weight room and lift. Jesus Christ. He's like, well, when I strike out, I get booed. It doesn't really get to me, but I want to let them know that when we have success, we're going to do the same thing to them to let them know how it feels. No, that's some Bush League shit. You're getting paid to be a professional. Professional athletes, for the most part, are notoriously great at tuning out the fans. You're getting booed. At least be thankful that they're making fucking noise. When you go to the ballpark and you can hear one of the outfielders fart from the batter's box, then you've got some problems. But get out there and play your game, do your job. Who cares if the fans are booing? That's what they're going to do. They're New York fans, for crying out loud. They're especially prone to doing stuff like that. But don't get out there and be a little child, and when you squeak out a victory against a team that's also scuffling because they traded away all but one of their all-stars, don't sit there and boo the fans. Seriously? 1, that's not a good look. 2, you're what? 27, 28, 29 years old? I get it. You were used to being, the flashing the leather in Wrigley and being, according to some accounts, at best, a pain in the ass in the locker room. And then you're going to take that. Granted, you got traded to the Mets, so you didn't have a choice in the matter. But don't take that toxicity to New York with you, man, because you're not going to last at all. Your occasional home run and your occasional Gold Glove caliber defense is not going to win you any fans in that city. And that media will lambaste you. They will absolutely roast you alive. and they'll do it with no seasoning, and they won't even so much as offer you up as a burnt sacrifice. They won't even do it. They'll just toss you into the East River, and that's it. So, pull your head out of your ass. The entire team needs to pull their head out of their ass. Quit screwing around with the fans. If anything else, you want to start winning some of these fans' respect back? Yeah, start playing better, start winning games, but how about maybe, I don't know, going over and signing autographs? Spend time with the fans. Yeah, they're going to heckle you. They're going to give you shit. But you know what? That's part of the game, especially when you play it in the city of New York. Get over yourself. Get over it. It's a damn game. It's a job. Do both. Be better. That's all I got to say about that.
And on that note, thank you for watching Nerd Sports this week.
You're well, okay.
I was gonna say something like, well, tell us how you really feel, Johnny. I mean, you didn't. I mean, you're right. I mean, you can't argue. It's one of those things that you just can't really argue the fact. And you're right. You can't. I can't make a funny comment or anything because I was like, well, he's out of line, but he's not wrong.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, I can see. I can see Anthony Mackie. He's wrong. He's out of line, but he's not wrong. I could see that. If we could work that soundbite in somehow, that would be great. But then Disney would be like, no.
I could probably pull it off because it's only 5 seconds. Not even 5 seconds. Probably a second.
As long as we don't show the face. As long as we don't play the video. You could use a soundbite.
No, you can even use the video as long as it's really, really short.
Really? Okay. Well, that would require us to get that really cool soundboard where you can, you hit the button. It's got the pre-programmed soundbites. Anyway, yeah. Okay.
Nah, I could do it right here. I have workaways of workaways. I just don't do it because I'm lazy.
Good to know. Good to know. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I'm David Dickerman.
I'm Johnny Skelton.
And this is Nerd Sports. Really, thank you for watching, for anybody that's watching, and hopefully down the line we get a little bit better programming.
Yeah, so, if you've made it this far into the episode...
This is, what was it, 21?
This is episode 21.
Yeah, we passed 20.
Yeah, so, I think once we get to episode 50, we could at random pick a comment out of our comment section for that particular episode and, I don't know, figure out something nice to do for the fans. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, we got 3, so it won't be expensive.
True. True. We could I don't know.
I still want to.
It's not going to be one of these. We'll send you a jersey. You just got to pick the player and name. No. We'll figure out something. So it up to us. We'll send them a fucking Bengals jersey. No, I'm kidding.
I'm not. I'm with you. This is the cheapest team that we could possibly give you. Sorry.
Yeah, they were running a clearance sale on Jets jerseys. But in all seriousness, man, yeah, this is episode 21, dude. When we first started doing this particular show, it was just kind of like I don't know, it was something different from the normal format, and it just kind of became really fun and kind of taken on a life of its own a little bit.
Yeah, it's one of the episodes that we can do randomly.
We go out of our way to schedule the time to shoot this particular show, and then we schedule the other two in, and we still get it in. But this one,
we didn't get what the hell. What the hell's always been
it's kind of been the bastard child.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And that's the one I first started really.
Yeah, it is, and so we need to put a little bit more focus and emphasis on that show, but.
But the Psychos and Sociopaths one, that was the one I was maybe I got a niche with this, but
right.
And we actually kind of do. Ish. But the Nerd Sports is the one that comes along because we can just pull up the stuff and we can just...
Yeah, exactly.
We can actually talk the stuff and...
Yeah, it's more or less our current events episode. But yeah,
without
definitely.
having to do the... I want to say that because we don't do the politics on it, but you go off the rails.
Yeah, I do every once in a while. I do get on my soapbox about it. So I'd say I'm sorry about that, but I'm really not.
Cool.
What's up?
Apparently, there's a launch pad now.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Did you finally upgrade to Big Sur?
I guess I did.
Yeah.
I didn't notice that.
Of course, my Launchpad came standard, but then again, my MacBook is a 2020 launch.
It just came up.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean mine's been there.
I was like, ooh, what's this? But anyways, we'll catch you next week, people.
Yeah, I'm Johnny Skelton.
Talk to you later.
Yep.